I'm going to tell you something now about an interesting author called Fomenko. I've been going on about Anatoly Fomenko, his 7-volume set, History, Science, or Fiction. Or is it fiction or science? Anyway, Fomenko is analyzing chronology, the consensual chronology, what is accepted to be history in our Western lingo, even extending into, I don't know, he doesn't deal with China. I haven't gotten to the Russian part of it yet. But a fascinating man investigating the validity of history as far as we know. Now, I'm going to just tell you something as a question. And this is something that occurred to me. Fomenko has not addressed this, and I don't know why, but here is, in terms of unraveling the truth behind what it is that is actually happened 2,000, 3,000, 4,000 years ago. What actually happened? Because Fomenko says there is no factual documentation about any of the things that are pronounced to be true in history. For example, the Trojan War, or any of the Roman Empire, the idea that there is a very obvious chronology from BC to AD all the way through. Fomenko says there isn't really anything we have prior to 800 that would definitively identify an event. Now, this is one thing I don't know if he's going to come to in his later volumes. I'm going to start volume 3. He has not addressed the idea of what in fact is the oldest dated document that is available to us, meaning that some kind of written document that has the date on it, like the Council of Nicaea document, which says 325, dated Annus Domini 325. Well, it doesn't exist. It's like a hearsay. It's a copy of a copy of a copy. Now, what is the oldest document with a date on it? And I thought, well, the oldest document most likely would be a coin. So you go into, if you're numismatic and you're going to check out coins, this has nothing to do with paleology, identifying handwriting. No, there's going to be a date on it. Now, guess what? The oldest coin with a date on it, apparently, is a coin called the Roskilde Denier, which is some sort of Danish monetary something or other, and it's dated to 1234 Anno Domini. It holds the title of the earliest coin with a date on it, Annus Domini, and it's called the Roskilde Denier, Pfennig. It's a penny. So, all right, now you have a coin with the earliest date 1234. Now, Fomenko says most of history, as far as Western civilization is concerned, happened in a very brief period, somewhere from maybe 900,000, so-called AD, to maybe the Renaissance, up to 1600. Everything was compacted, from the Trojan War to the Roman Empire to everything that we have been handed down as certain wars, magnificent killings and massacres that occurred in what we understand to be Western civilization, happened in a very short, compressed period of time. So far as he asserts that this person, Jesus, lived possibly in 1052 to 1085, or possibly 1150 something, 1151 to 1184. So the point is, okay, whatever you gain from this or don't gain from this, this is interesting. The idea that the oldest dated document would be most likely a coin. They're the most durable things that don't disintegrate like paper, parchment, vellum. These things were made, took enormous amount of time to make a sheet of paper. What we consider to be paper wasn't actually paper. It came from calf skin. It took maybe a month to make one sheet. And if you're going to kill the entire nation of sheep, or calf, whatever they used, you're going to decimate all the animal population in order to produce all the literature they say was produced on this particular type of thing. Until, of course, you have papyri, which is very flimsy. It's not going to last. Or paper later on in codices. You have scrolls. You have things written down without a date. Now, the paleontologists give us a date because they're experts. What do they base it on? They take a document and arbitrarily date that document. And then they adjust everything according to that document. So paleontologists will take a document, look at the writing, and say, I think this was 133 BC. Yeah, so they take something and then everybody else says, okay, that guy said 133 BC, then this has to be around that time. Or somebody takes another document and comes up with a number. Because carbon dating doesn't work on this stuff. So here's my point. For all those people that say this is full of shit, well, what is the earliest date on a physical document? What is the earliest date? And as far as I've come up with, it's a coin. It's a Danish penny that says 1234 AD. Now, the other part in this is interesting. You have a lot of coinage after that with dates on it. Not all of them, but quite a number of coins now have dates on them. Well, where did they come up with that date of 1234? You see, this goes, in my mind, the greatest conspiracy ever is called history. The way history is promoted and told to us. And here's what's the intent behind it. You say, well, why would they bother? Why would they screw around with history? I'll tell you. FOMENKO doesn't go into this, but I'm going to say what I think it is. And what I believe it to be is that if you can create a history that's accepted by everyone, you can introduce, inject, promote your agenda. Meaning, what is the agenda that is so obvious in the history of the planet? And that is oligarchy. The oligarchs create legitimacy through having placed themselves as the heads of something way back to the pharaohs. So you have the pharaoh history, you have Akhenaten and all these types that say, oh, we are the lineage of the holier than thous. The holier than thous. The holier than thous have established a history. So in 1234, when this coin comes out, there is and who is involved in this? You have, of course, religious rites and orders, especially the Vatican. It would be to their interest to establish a papacy, a rulership of the planet through the princes of the papacy. And the other guys that go along with this are obviously the kings and the queens and the holy of holies. All these people it's to their advantage to create a history that puts them in the driver's seat. And we are always exploited in the back seat. And we're in the back of the bus. Go to the back of the bus. And that's history. This is the greatest conspiracy. I challenge anyone to come up with a document that says 635 Annus Domini. It doesn't exist. It never happened because there was no Annus Domini 635. There were people, there were things going on in 635, but we the hell don't know what it was. And in 1600, a guy called Scaligeri and Petavius created a chronology. The basis, 95% of this chronology was created at a period of time in Western history that basically has taken events that happen in what are called the Dark Ages. You needed this period of time of what we say, oh, there was very little activity. We don't really know what happened in the Dark Ages. Well, what happened in the Dark Ages is a hell of a lot of stuff that parallels in ancient history. And FOMENKO points this out beautifully. The chronologies, how the overlapping of events, names, dates, times of rulers. These guys didn't have any imagination. For example, I'll give you a quickie on the Homeric Epic. This particular document surfaced sometime in the 1500s again. Now, from 800 BC, supposedly, when the Trojan Wars occurred and Homer wrote it maybe 100, 200 years later, a blind guy, what did he write it on? Oh no, it was all passed on. Anyway, this supposed epic poem of 700 and some pages, brilliant. You got to have all the words and all the lines in place. Shows up in around 1460 something in some version. Now, Greek historians, or there was a Gregorius, a Russian historian, places a particular clan called Saint Omer around the 1300s. Saint Omer, O-M-E-R. Also, he's going to go into the Persian part of this, which is Omar, but Saint Omer is a Greek clan existing in 1300. Now, how interesting. You all, you've got a Homeric epic showing up maybe 100 years after this so-called clan. It disappears all of a sudden. And Omer Homer. So you have these coincidences, which are more than just coincidences. I don't like it. I don't like it. And I think history is actually the biggest scam and conspiracy ever. And this goes on. You have Greek history, the Middle Ages, is kind of nebulous. People don't really understand what the hell happened in Greece in the Middle Ages. Well, there was another fellow called Gitomo Platon, a fellow called Platon. And now you've got the Republic, Plato's Republic, showing up again in that period of time, 1500. Plato's Republic. Fomenko is fabulous, digging this stuff up. Well, who is this Platon, Pleton? Who is this guy? Well, very close to Plato. So these are grave doubts cast on consensual history as far as we know it, and there's going to be a lot of people in the woodwork that have much at stake to keep history exactly the way it is. And it doesn't make sense. Show me a document with an Annus Domini on it. The earliest one. I'd like to see it.